We met about 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a decade. Wow.
Yeah. So it was really through the water crisis, actually, and through a program, Share Art Flint.
Yeah, we were both members of GFAC, both artists, local artists, and we were both inspired by the water crisis into art activism.
Yeah. And it was really an amazing time because Share Art Flint at that time was specifically for individual artists. And that really gave us a way for us to get funding. And unfortunately, that program doesn't exist anymore.
That's so sad because that was one of the incubator type organizations that nourished local artists and especially female artists. And that's how we met in a grant writing course. It was the first time I'd ever applied for a local grant, and I met Desiree in the course, and she was doing a project on the effects of the water and how it affected prenatal care and women carrying children. And she made this wonderful presentation out of bottled water. It was called A Body of Water, right?
Yeah, A Body of Water, uh, that piece was before that we even knew about lead. And
Yeah,
so it was really just, at the beginning, it wasn't a protest piece. It was just getting to talk to people, getting out in the community. And you were working on Gallery on the Go
yeah.
and
And
doing,
we had done a mural on the water crisis, and it was in 2014 that a local young lady that was doing documentaries came, and she did a documentary about the process of creating a mural. And my group of graffiti artists turned muralists, and we put up some of the beginning murals in Flint, and that was in 2014. And that project then led to the Gallery on the Go during the water crisis, and then we started working with local groups like Flint Public Art Project, and that's when we did the Obama Little Miss Flint mural.
yeah.
And we used local artists that no one really was celebrating this art form. So it was a good time to meet somebody, and we had two different approaches to the same situation where we gave a voice to the voiceless. And through that, we nourished the community by getting our voice of protest out there and bringing attention to the plight of the people.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting because we were working together in this parallel way, but in different ways. And
Yeah,
I think that that's really important that we celebrate and work together, but also support the different ways because there's not one way to nourish, there's
that's right.
multiple
That's
ways to
right.
nourish art and activism in the community. And it was when we were both invited, I think it was Free City
Yes.
Festival, and we both showed our work there. And there is a great appreciation for doing things differently but together.
That's right. I remember your bodies of water were lit up with the bottles with little lights in them, and at night it struck such an image, and it was right by the river, which made it very poignant, and people begin to feed off of that and feel like, hey, this is something that I wanted to say, or this is a cool way of saying what I wanted to say. Yes, we are 90% water, and we are all bodies of water. So we live off of bodies of water. So it's about nourishing us and poisoning us through our own existence.
Yeah.
And it was sad that no one was paying attention to us before we brought attention to the crisis. And it wasn't that we were being victims, it's just that we were trying to be heard. We were trying
Right.
to get our voice out and the community's voice and frustrations.
And I think that it's really important when we talk about the water crisis and what's happened over the past 10 years. that the that we retain our own narratives, that
Right.
we speak about what has happened. We don't need a translator. We can speak about our own experiences directly.
Directly. That's right. We can tell our own story. We don't need a narrator. We don't need world news to come in and shine light on it. We do need that in a sense to get a resolution, which we're still looking for 10 years later, I might add.
Right.
And we have had a lot of money come here to the town, but it hasn't been distributed fairly amongst the people that were affected. And that's what we're still bringing attention to. How do we heal when there's still ongoing trauma? And that's kind of what Nourish Flint is about. We want to talk about nourishing ourselves to heal from this systemic trauma.
Right. Because really, when you've been victimized, the only way to heal yourself, is to get that power back and say, I have this agency to heal over myself, my body, and my community. And really, what we do and how we like to work together is empower each other to find your own voice. You don't have to necessarily agree with me or my approach, but we can heal each other by supporting each other.
By supporting each other and sharing information.
And resources.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that, having that resource of the Share Art Flint was pivotal for both of us.
Yes, it was.
And
It
we
was.
need direct funding to artists so that they can create their own art,
Yeah.
that individual artists have agency over their work, and we need a multiplicity of narratives to do that.
Yeah, we need to have ownership
Right.
of our voice, our narrative, and our work.
Right.
And we need to feel validated where we come from. So we're here trying to say, how do we nourish each other? And hopefully we can come up with some suggestions and ideas that you can be a part of. We will have a call-in feature later on, but right now we just want to introduce you to our purpose and the collaboration of diversity
Yeah.
can also nourish us, because you can still retain your own culture and identity and uniqueness, but yet share and nurture someone else's. And then you become empathetic to where they're coming from when you put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah. And we become stronger as a community when we share resources, when we collaborate in a way that honors each other's individuality and identity.
And unique perspective.
Exactly.
Because you can't say that you don't understand me or you do understand me if you don't know where I'm coming from or what I'm saying.
Right.
So it's all a matter of sharing information, being open to listen to dialogue, and then participating in it. You give us your feedback. We'll give you our opinions, but we're not saying they're the only ones, and they're not the most correct ones. We're just the ones we've observed.
Right. And both Sandra and I have, 20 years experience as artists, where we've been artists for a very long time.
Long time. I'm not even going to say how long.
and we've also been organizers, and those are two different roles.
Right.
When you are an individual artist, it's really focused on your own art. And when you're an organizer, it's a
collaborative effort.
It's a collaborative effort in bringing people together, and also, doing all of the organizing. Organizing is an art.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people have an idea, but they don't know where to go with it.
Right.
And that's where I collaborate with Desiree. She's a plethora of information and resources, because she's dealt with the community and giving back and healing the community through her work. And mine is the same way. I wanted to paint my town pretty. I wanted to provide the murals and the colors and the vibrations in the murals, create different chemicals in the brain so we can take an at-risk youth that's in a neighborhood that's depressed and put them in a vibrant environment with the colorful murals and take them to become a youth with opportunity. So it's a big step to think about how my art or how our voice affects everyone around us. We can't just slap something down and say this will make this community better. No, we reach out to the community so we can get the community's input so that we are putting up something that represents their perspective. And that's what the Flint Public Art Project has tried to do with the mural program. And we are still doing that, but now we want to activate those spaces. And in activating those spaces, we want to reach out to the public, to the community, and see how you want to use those spaces, how you want to utilize that space that we've provided to be integrated into your community. So if you have ideas where you want to do a play or something, contact me, Sandra Branch, at Flint Public Art Project, or through Facebook, Sandra Branch, and we can collaborate on some stuff. And we can also decide what direction you want your community and your parks and your streets and your environment to be. Because it's not about sitting back and letting everyone else do it and then complaining. It's about being an active participant in your community and being part of the way the direction goes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and I think that creative making, community making, really strengthens communities because you're doing something creative, and that sort of levels everybody's ability because you have to be vulnerable. You have to say, "This is my idea," and that's a very tender spot, and you have to be able to hold that with safety and try to build something together because when we work together, this is when communities flourish. This is when people start to come out of their homes and they feel safe again. And you're also increasing the economy, and how we build together is a very important thing, and it comes down to a process of getting people together, getting your voice heard, and also gathering the resources to have agency over what happens. And I think that as we grow Flint, it's really important for us to not only validate sweat equity, the volunteerism that happens in Flint. Flint is the only city in the country that has an entirely volunteer park system. And that is worth a lot. That the residents of Flint are putting their own labor into maintaining the parks. And so what happens, how do we engage our city and our city council so that we retain power over those things and power over the art that's being done and the culture that's being grown? Because so often we can have people come in and take over those our cultural centers and our ways of being, and it can become completely different. And so the way that Sandra and I work is very anti-gentrification, very community based, so that we retain our culture. Flint has a very, very rich culture that has been built from the ground up, from the start of community education after the sit-down strike. That is something
Equal housing,
equal housing. We are legacies,
civil rights.
civil rights legacies of innovation, and that came from the people. It didn't come from institutions. It
That's
came
right.
from the people.
Came from community, building community.
Exactly.
And that's why we're here to nurture community building, because That's the flavor of Flint, and we want to retain that flavor, that original Flintstone vibe.
Right.
We're resilient, we're starters, we're the people that are trendsetters. We're not victims.
That's
And
right.
we want to bring that back, that attitude back, that can do entrepreneurial spirit. And let's stop saying there's nothing to do in Flint, because there's usually a festival downtown every weekend in the summer. There's something going on. Become a part of that. Go to the cultural center. Enjoy the Sloan Museum, the library. It's beautiful.
Yeah, be visible. We have a millage that pays for everybody in Flint and Genesee County to go to the cultural center. You can go there for free. You deserve to be there. You deserve to enjoy all of these things.
The amenities of the city you
Mhm,
live in.
mhm.
This is what makes the community better. Come
Right.
downtown. Go to the campus. Go to the U of M campus. Tunes at Noon is provided by GFAC. They have live music down there for free every day through
Right.
the week. You need to come out and enjoy those amenities. Come to the Blues Festival on the grounds of the Flint Public Library. It's free. It's wonderful music and community coming out, but I see the same faces every time. And then I see people commenting, when did that happen? Well, if we get down here and we utilize the tools that the community Fund Flint puts
Right.
out, and you can look these things up online and find out what's going on in your city. I mean, really, we've got so much happening. Charlie Wilson's going to be at the Capitol Theater. I'm going. I hope you are. There's things to do in Flint. We just have to get out there and do them. And we need to find out. And if you're watching this, share. Please share it. We're here courtesy of Out of the Mud Incorporated Media. George Grundy is the producer. If you've got something that you want to get out there, and James Mayfield. Brother James Mayfield is sitting here right now telling us, if we're doing a good job or not. And if you're seeing this and watching this, share it. Please share it on your Facebook, share it on your Instagram. Make sure people are watching it, because if you want to know what is there to do in Flint and how to nourish yourself and heal and activate some of these public spaces, give us a call.
Yeah, I think it's really important because as we grow Flint and nourish Flint, we also have to not be shy
Okay.
or afraid to be out in public space. And I think that that is one thing that's part of healing from the water crisis, is that a lot of us, especially after the pandemic, felt like we couldn't go anywhere. And part of healing ourselves is being visible and knowing that all of these spaces are for you. Whether, you maybe, it's a new thing to go to an art museum, but that's part of what those spaces are there for. Anyone can go. You are welcome to be there. And that is your right. And I think it's important to know that if there isn't a space for you, that there are people here that want to help you nourish your own space, and that you are welcome. Every different kind of beautiful idea that you dream about or would like that you're not seeing, that's important. Your
Okay.
voice is important, and we can build it together, and you will be nourished together. And I think that when we talk about Flint, I think it's important to talk about collaboration and how hearts and Flint is, we have a big heart, and that we can work together uh, and build stuff, and that there's a space for you here.
Yeah, there is a space. And I see Dante says that the problem is the economic struggle, that
Right.
we are victims, unfortunately. You're a victim in a mindset. You take that victimhood and you say, economic struggles and how do we make equal opportunities? We snatch them. That's how we make them. We snatch them. We see an opportunity or a space for us to jump in, and we jump in. You don't just sit back and wait for anybody to give you anything. I was told when I first started painting murals on buildings that the last person out of Flint shut the lights off. Nobody's going to pay attention to murals in Flint, and nobody's going to give you permission to paint on a building. Well, unfortunately, it was easier for me to say, oh, I'm sorry, after I painted on the building than to get permission. So sometimes you have to snatch that opportunity and create an opportunity for equal struggles and becoming a survivor and a not a victim, because it's up to you. You don't wait for anybody to do anything or to give you permission. You go snatch it.
But it's also through collective organizing, right? So
Yeah,
how
you get the people that are like-minded.
We have this legacy of the people organizing and standing up to the most powerful corporation in the world at the time, GM, right? We organized together, and we all sat down together and said, nope, we deserve better pay, we deserve better amenities, all of the things that came out of the sit-down strike, community schools, community education, that all came from people organizing together. So you can't do it alone. And I think that that's one of the things when we talk about entrepreneurship. If you are struggling economically, then you need to be able to collaborate with folks and build something. Think about structures that allow for collaboration. So that's unions, guilds, these things where you can find economic support as a collective and then build each other from there, because it is very difficult to do things on your own when you don't have economic support. And it's very rarely that one person, like the myth that the lone person is doing it, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with people with money. They're inheriting money. They've got people that are supporting them. So
it takes a support structure.
Right.
And you have to find like-minded people that you can build that structure within.
Right.
Then as an organized group, you come together and you voice your concerns and you take them to people or places that can make a difference, or you create that space to make that difference. If you have a food desert, just like they got a cooperative together and
Exactly.
they organize and now they have a grocery store there that's part of the community. And we can do that in our neighborhoods with these sustainable garden spaces. We can utilize and develop these open green spaces into community gardens, which can take a food desert and make it a food oasis with free food.
Right.
Just depending on how much work you put into that collective, into that garden. So you have to see your solution.
Right. And if you are interested, one of the topics that we can go in deeper on the show are what are the different structures that allow for collective economic generation and collective wealth. And there's many different legal structures. There's many different community structures that you can build together with your neighborhood or with your network that will generate income. And that's something that we can go deeper on the show if you're interested.
When we have the call in, it'll be easier to participate. Right now, we're just reading from a few people on the live chat. So you can also share this, and we want more people to come in. We want to be a answer to some of your questions. We want to tell you what we did to change things and to make things happen. Because one person can make a difference.
Right.
You just have to find your support.
Right. So Nourish is also a collective that Sandra and there's 9 other co-founders of women, each located in a ward in Flint. And we have been sharing opportunities with each other.
Yeah.
For, I think it's been 2 years now.
To create a structure that was not there because we were not being heard, but being gaslit, which seems to be the the way things are going now. That seems to be the structure of things when you want to get something done. They have someone in place to gaslight you.
Right.
So you got to get beyond that. And you have to, like I said, see your solution and then try to implement it through having a group structure where you can move and create that organization that's going to move you in the direction you want to go into.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. It's like even, all of the artists and the creatives in our collective are completely different.
Different, diverse.
Very diverse. And just having that support system to talk about what we're working on or, share opportunities is just generative in itself. It makes you feel more confident that you have a place and that your art is supported because when you're doing it on your own, it is very scary.
It is.
And you can feel very isolated or like there's no one there. And that you grow through community. That is something that has always, been known.
Yeah, and they always say that haters make you greater. You've got to flip your perspective on people that are trying to tamp you down.
Right.
And don't tell everyone your idea until it's almost to the point of fruition, because it's harder to achieve and to function and maneuver when there's sharks in the water.
Right. And I think that it's something where, everyone is trying to get that one idea that's going to make it instead of thinking, oh, my ideas are valuable. You need space to figure out yourself, to heal. And so it's both an individual process and a community process. You need to be strong in your identity and know that your unique self, your unique voice is valuable. You don't have to take anyone else's idea because your idea is just as good as anyone else's. But it's knowing yourself, it's having that process of working on healing and growth that will generate that idea of value.
Yeah, and being discerning to surround yourself with those people that will nurture you.
Right.
Get out of the shark infested waters. If you feel like your ideas are just being regurgitated to you through the eyes of someone else and then you're not getting your credit, leave that environment.
Right.
Don't share in that environment. You've got to know where it's safe to express your ideas, where you're supported. So that's one thing we make a mistake with is partnering with the wrong people sometimes. So we have to support each other, and there's room for everyone to
Right.
be unique. There's no one that should be trying to steal your ideas. So we can all make it together if we make it a comfortable cocoon environment to come up with different ideas and be supported. So with Nourish Flint, we hope to do that. We hope to nourish the community, and we hope to take art and activism and community and meld them all together into a fabric that is an incubator for ideas and activating Flint spaces and making the culture richer in Flint.
Yep.
Right now, we've got a few more seconds left, and I want to say thank you for joining us and thank Desiree.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank Out of the Mud Media Incorporated again, George Grundry and James Mayfield for giving us this space and this platform. And we're going to be here every Sunday, and we're going to be talking about Flint. So
And nurturing it.
And nurturing it. Thank you so much.